Steiny has advanced quite quickly, moving from being unknown to hosting in one of the most popular podcasts in the world. However, this promising young talent is suddenly the punching bag of the community, as it usually always is when a new person lands the role of a co-host on podcasts. We've seen it in the past with the likes of George Janko, who has of course since left and started his own podcast, yet fans don't know the real reason for it. In this case, with Steiny, we could be seeing something similar following his viral interaction with Andrew Schulz. But just how true are all the recent claims that he may be kicked off the Full Send Podcast? Make sure to stick around till the end for the full details. Since the podcast had aired originally on Twitter, a video capturing the moments of Schulz roasting Steiny went viral on YouTube with over 2 million views in just a week, which goes to show how much the fans wanted someone to press Steiny. Considering how much backlash he received from that episode, a lot of it was unwarranted. He released an episode of his show One Night With Steiny with Rice Gum's ex Abby Rao, and the comments were heavily on his side with posts like, "Steiny is going to go far. He's a normal dude going through life like the rest of us while adapting to fame and making his mistakes early on. So when it's his time to shine, he'll kill it. Keep it up, Steiny. You're one of the boys." Steiny is 1,000,000,000% the funniest NELK member ever. In terms of pure comedy, this dude is unmatched. As long as he keeps the act going well and doesn't let himself seem genuinely annoyed and pissed off when he gets flamed, because then it comes off a bit lame and sad. Haha. But seems he's getting better at that and is playing into that character better each day. Steiny, my man, you are hilarious. F those that say otherwise. Everyone needs a friend like you to keep the vibes going. The internet do like being sheep whenever someone gets hated on, which is the funniest part of all of it, as their opinions aren't even their own, just what is trending at the time. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on the post notification bell. This way you'll never miss out on any future celebrity videos similar to these. A lot of fans like to compare both the Full Send Podcast and Impulsive, as over the past few years they've been getting the similar amounts of views and are the internet's biggest, except Joe Rogan's in terms of YouTube views. On their most recent episode, they spoke about the Steiny and Schulz podcast and why it ended up being so popular.
Oh, no. Dude, Kyle has done an excellent job of building a brand. I've always had difficulty like vibing with him. I don't when he started a podcast, I thought how is he gonna do this? And they've done an incredible job and somehow stayed afloat. But when Andrew went on that podcast and said what he said during and after, I said to myself, how is this not the sentiment for every single show that they have?
It's interesting that Logan Paul has the stance that Kyle isn't really fit to do a podcast, as he evidently doesn't do a lot of research on the guests he brings in, leaning into the narrative that he only does it to expand the Full Send brand rather than having any passion for podcasting. As in the past, Logan Paul even openly said the NELK Boys were Impulsive's worst episode to date.
Who's the least favorite? Who did you think, he's not coming back?
Honestly,
Who is that?
our NELK Boys episode was shit.
Oh, shit!
I'm sorry, it was garbage.
Considering he's had the likes of the Island Boys on and that really awkward Trippy Red episode, there's definitely a hint of bitterness towards them, most likely as they came into the podcasting world so quick. And their first podcast was Dana White. Then, since that, they've had the POTUS on twice, as well as the richest man alive, Elon Musk, on for 3 hours.
There have been guests who have walked on this show where I hadn't heard of them until the day before the podcast.
Yeah.
And guess what I did? Significant amount of research, so I would make the guests feel welcome, appreciated, respected, and relevant on my fucking show that I'm invited him on.
Yeah, but
not
Andrew-
only that, is like Andrew Schulz is
Massive.
not just a guy. Like he's highly entertaining. He's very good at what he does.
Shark
like,
from New York,
Come on,
from the
bro.
fucking Shark.
Dude, you don't even have to know about his career to have a good conversation.
Well, that's
with
what
that guy.
Which does seem to be a concurring theme on the Full Send podcast, is that they don't do their research when it comes to the guests. Another clear instance would be their Hulk Hogan episode, where he even said to them, "I thought you guys knew more about wrestling." The comments on that episode were full of posts like, "Imagine having a legend like Hulk Hogan on your show and not doing research into his career highlights. LOL. I think it's time that you guys announce the guests beforehand and let fans send you guys great questions to ask them. I think it's a good idea, and you guys select the ones you like and can build on. You guys were clueless on this one. The GOAT of professional wrestling comes onto your podcast and you talk to him like he was just another filler interview. Way to drop the ball, boys. And this episode was only released at the start of June, so there can be no excuse like the Schulz one, which was recorded in November of last year when they only first started getting into podcasting. To see Kyle's point of view when it came to the Schulz episode, he stated, "With this one, it was our first time having a comedian on. We kind of wanted to treat it like a boys-only episode, where it's our internals and we just chill, bro down, and talk about whatever is going on in the world. And we thought that would be a good way to do Schulz," Kyle said. This is the first time where a guest didn't enjoy themselves on the podcast, which honestly sucks for me to hear that, because we obviously want every guest to have a good time, and we were excited to have Schulz on, which is understandable, but at the same time, it's all based on how the guest is feeling on the podcast. They should have had better questions to fall back on instead of relying on what they wanted to do coming into it. Now that you would have seen the podcast with Andrew Schulz, you could easily make the case for both sides. On the other hand, you could claim that Steiny asked generic questions throughout. But on the other, you could say that Schulz was being prickly. And let's be honest, if it weren't for Steiny, Kyle and Steve scarcely would have kept the episode going. A lot of people bring up the fact that Bradley Martin should be the co-host ahead of Steiny, as he brings a deeper level of intellect and relatability to the guests when they come on each episode. Interestingly, on the same podcast where Logan Paul was talking about the Schulz versus Steiny situation, he called out Bradley Martin to a fight.
I see what he's doing, but I just think it's weird. Like, he had Nate Diaz, who my brother's fighting on August 5th on his podcast.
Yeah.
And like in the same sentence, he's like, yeah, I'm cool with Jake. I like Jake. I just hope you beat his ass. I just want to see him get his ass beat. I want to see him get turned into a meme. Why, Bradley? You're cool with us. He's in the family. You even said yourself you like him. Why say that? Are you searching for clicks? Even the way you're talking about street fighting Nate, like, bro, you're not going to beat Nate Diaz in a street fight. You just searching for clicks?
Well, what if he
And if he is,
yeah, what if he is?
I think he's lame.
Quite an interesting stance to take, considering he's business partners with someone who has tried to ruin Jake's reputation for the past few years. And even Jake says he finds it strange with the Logan and KSI partnership. It'll be interesting to see what happens going forward with Steiny and him being on the Full Send podcast. As every episode he's on, the comments section says he needs to go, or replace him with Bradley. Anyway, this concludes today's video. Be sure to subscribe to LoafTube for future celebrity videos, and turn on that post notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. Until then, see you in the next one.